Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about Kyle O'Reilly's health situation after some false rumours were spread after last night's NXT.
An insane stipulation match has been announced for AEW Revolution.
WWE champion on AEW Dynamite. Sort of.
And Tully Blanchard, the 67-year-old, is going to step between the ropes on AEW Dynamite. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I still can't believe that last story.
And this is the news.
All right, let's get serious. Let's talk Kyle O'Reilly, because the worst of social media with regards to taking misinformation, snowballing it, and spreading it all over the place was in play after last night's NXT. So NXT ran an angle where Adam Cole attacked Kyle O'Reilly. The biggest event of this was during the main event. He laid him out with a pump kick and then he suplexed him on the steel steps during the main event. Kyle was laid out. He was, out for the count on the outside at the end of the show while Cole was standing tall with the NXT Championship. A whole bunch of bollocks followed. To cut to the most important part before I go into the details here, Kyle O'Reilly did not suffer a seizure, all right? You may have heard whispers of this, but the rumours doing the rounds regarding his health were so widespread that Ryan Satin, who of course works for WWE on Fox, had to tweet the following. From what I've been told, Kyle O'Reilly did not suffer a real seizure after NXT tonight and did not suffer a medical episode. According to WWE sources, it's all just part of storyline. Happy to hear that he's okay. Kyle is okay. Follow-up tweet here also from Satin saying, I'm also told that there was no intent to make it look like he was suffering a seizure. That just spread due to what was reported back from the few fans in attendance. So shortly after Kyle was laid out, photographs of him taken by somebody who was at the Capitol Wrestling Center, like being loaded onto a stretcher, being tended to by Triple H and doctors, they started doing the rounds and there was a lot of messages along the lines of pray for Kyle, hope he's okay. The wrestling world needs to unite around Kyle O'Reilly. This is so worrying, which is, comes from a place of worry. So people hoping that the guy's all right, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. The problems arose when people drew a line between Kyle, who's a type 1 diabetic, and a seizure. That term somehow came into the conversation. It snowballed, and you had two parties. You had one group of people who genuinely thought Kyle had suffered a seizure and were worried and were like, oh my God, this is horrible, which it would have been. And then you had another party who read this as WWE had worked a seizure and were criticizing WWE, understandably, again, for taking advantage of a potential medical episode and using it to develop heat for a storyline. So there was a whole lot of rubbish going around, a whole lot of misinformation. Fortunately, we have Ryan Satin cutting right through the middle of it here. We also have a report from Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc., who published after the show, saying that there appears to be nothing to worry about with Kyle O'Reilly's health. The former NXT title contender is fine, and that yes, WWE never wanted to make people believe he was having this medical episode. It was just a conclusion that people drew on social media. So, in a nutshell, what's happened here is that WWE have really effectively worked a lot of people, but it's gotten to the point where someone has used that word, seizure, it has spiraled out of control. We've been just watching these two sides really building steam on stuff that isn't true, and now hopefully it'll be diffused. The problem is, Dave Meltzer has said this in the past, but when bollocks gets out, it gets out a lot quicker than bollocks is diffused when the real story comes out. So we can only hope this kind of peters off. Kyle is fine, that's important, that's good. But it's a real shame that whoever started this rumor has, prompted such a strong response from people who are genuinely concerned about the guy. And, it really sucks. It's a horrible situation. I'm glad Kyle's okay. I thought the angle was well done. And it just shows the power of misinformation in this era on social media in particular.
Yeah, first and foremost, obviously, most important thing, like you say, I'm just glad to hear that Kyle O'Reilly's okay, because there was so much stuff bouncing around on social media when I woke up this morning. What's the phrase, Andy? Is it a lie's already half around the world before the truth has got his trousers on, or something like that? That's exactly what Meltzer's talking about there. And in fairness to WWE, it's not like they said, oh, he's had a seizure, or they did the whole red X sign. They're always, they've done some dodgy stuff in the past, but they're always pretty, they know where the line is, at least when it comes to that sort of thing. So it was just so frustrating as well, because it sort of undercuts, like you say, the kayfabe that's been going on in this genuinely entertaining story. It was a really good episode of NXT. I really enjoyed it. We've got, 2 tag team title matches, including, 2 guys from the main roster, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, showing up on last night's show and then defending those titles in 2 weeks, just coincidentally, on the show, going up against Shaq versus Cody and Red Velvet and Jade Cargill, of course. But it's like, it was so frustrating because it just, like you say, just ruined what would have been a really good angle and a great show, in my opinion, from NXT. I think, to just boil it down so we can move on to the other mad stuff we've got to report on today, very simply, think before you tweet. It's not difficult. Like you say, all it's taken is one person to suggest the link between, just a really good sell to Kyle's diabetes to a seizure. And well, look where we are, Andy.
Yeah. And we'll stress again that WWE never used that word, not once. This was entirely social media stuff. So, I was quite alarmed by it when I saw it myself, but when I saw the reports and stuff, everything came to light. So that's the truth of the matter. Let's kill those rumors. Let's never speak of them again.
Right, let's talk about something that sounds not true, but is. AEW are going to be doing an exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW Championship at Revolution. It was announced at the end of last night's AEW Dynamite, off the back of Jon Moxley, Rey Fenix and Lance Archer. Had a great match against Eddie Kingston, Butcher and Blade. And post-match, you had the Good Brothers coming down and beating them up, and then Kenny Omega announcing, yes, they are going to settle their differences for the AEW World Championship at Revolution on the 7th of March, I believe, in an exploding barbed wire death match. There's a great bit with Moxley headbutting Omega and a tiny bit of blood running down Omega's face, but he got his own back by nailing him with some V-triggers and yelling, "It's only going to get worse." They, of course, had that lights out match at Full Gear in 2019, but this is just bonkers, Andy. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what Jim Cornette has to say about all this.
I'm kind of the opposite. I could not care less what Jim Cornette has to say about anything. However, I will say that personally, I didn't really enjoy the Lights Out match. It wasn't really my thing. I didn't really get into it. So my excitement for this is probably a little bit lower than a lot of people's, but that's fine. Wrestling is subjective and we are allowed to disagree. I thought the angle setting up, however, was quite effective. This got a lot of people talking. A lot of people will be buzzing about it. A lot of people will be like, no, a death match on a pay-per-view? So they're going to get people buzzing either way, whether or not that's a good thing. It's up for you guys to decide. It's a big match. The pay-per-view needed the main event. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I kind of ruined this for myself because I fantasy booked with the Dadleys, not the return, but the re-announcement of Blood and Guts, and then we got this, which just completely threw me for a loop. And the thing is, I enjoyed that Lights Out match at Full Gear, but I just wonder where they go from that, because they kind of did everything in that match. And yes, explosions, it's not a thing that they featured, but my goodness me, I'm worried, as is Renee Paquette, about how this is going to go. But anyway, let's move on, Andy. Let's talk about WWE living rent-free in AEW's heads. That'll get some comments.
We'll just blast through these last couple of stories. The WWE Champion was on AEW TV last night, sort of. I'm referring to Jim Ross's slip. He announced Kenny Omega as WWE Champion Kenny Omega, not AEW Champion Kenny Omega. This got a lot of people buzzing because, of course, it did. Jim Ross has talked about this on Twitter already. He quote tweeted Fightful's report on the matter saying, "Yep, heat of the battle, live TV, my bad guys." And Drew McIntyre has responded. posted an image of him sitting in a chair looking like this, saying the WWE champion Drew McIntyre is not impressed or amused. It's good to see this kind of just being laughed off. This is a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a harmless mistake. JR has made a few, to be fair, early in AEW's run in the booth, but I hope this doesn't get hung over his head for two. It's a mistake, and it's a good laugh as well at the same time. So there we are.
Exactly. It's something and nothing, like you say, and I don't want to see people making a big thing out of this. It's heat of battle. We make mistakes on this news and we record it, so no position to judge. I think let's just move on. At the end of the day, if he's going to make those mistakes, that's sort of the trade-off you get for such a legend being on your program.
There you go.
You know, hopefully it won't happen again, but I'm glad everyone can just see the funny side of all this. Something that isn't necessarily funny, but should be terrifying if we're a part of Jurassic Express, is the fact that 67-year-old Tully Blanchard is going to wrestle. He's going to work that 3rd of March, big night for the Wednesday Night War, that with, as I mentioned, the 2 tag team title matches on NXT, and then the Shaq, Jade, Cargill, Red Velvet and Cody match, and now, FTR and Tully Blanchard step in between the ropes to take on Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt. This will be Blanchard's first match since August 2007 when he wrestled in the NWA against AEW's Dustin Rhodes.
Crazy.
Okay, good luck everyone.
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell's going on here. In the year of our Lord 2021, Shaquille O'Neal is going to wrestle on the same show as 67-year-old Tully Blanchard, who peaked about 30 years ago. So, look, Tully Blanchard is legitimately one of my favourite heels of all time. This is weird. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I'll tell you what, I can't wait to find out.
Same, and Sting took a bump on Dynamite last night. It's all just insane right now.
Crazy. Old men doing bits.
Let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. Lord KPS starts us off. And he says, Icarigram's new character is money, no pun intended.
Literally.
Should NXT make him into a modern version of Ted DiBiase? They've tried so with several characters before, but Grimes can make it work, I feel. Obviously, commiserations to Grimes, who crashed his Lamborghini, but he's just going to buy another one, Andy.
Yeah, he's that rich. He can just throw them out the window. I don't think WWE should do this. I think they should let the $1 Million Man character stand on its own in history. It's an iconic character. It's one of my personal favourites of all time. Let's not just repeat that with a guy because he's rich now. Make Cameron Grimes his own thing. Let him discover his own voice. Forge his own identity. He's a very charismatic, creative, wild, entertaining guy. He doesn't need to be... I see where you're coming from. And I think, there's logic to it. But I think Tyler Bates? What's his name?
Yeah, let's mention him, okay.
Yeah, Trevor Lee should be his own thing, is what I'm saying.
I don't think you need to make him Ted DiBiase. I think you just need to give him all the gold because he's one of the best things.
He's already got all
NXT.
the gold.
Yeah, exactly. But he needs to buy some of those championships, baby. I adore what they are doing with him. And also, very random boy popper during the Britney Spears documentary when her dad makes grits. Last night I was watching it with the missus and I was like, oh, kiss my grits. That's it. Oh no, this is quite serious and quite
Free Britney,
sad.
by the way. Free Britney.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, free Britney. Yeah, we
shocking.
support that here at WhatCulture. Right, let's move on. The Battle Brands brings us the second question of the day, saying, Konnichiwa, gents. With The Fiend's return imminent, do you think we could see a Firefly Funhouse sequel where all of Randy's past sins and criticisms are laid bare? Maybe even a cameo from a still imprisoned Cena.
Yes, I think that is a great idea. I think it is the best possible idea for this feud, and I think it would be awesome. That is my answer.
It's really simple, you've knocked it out of the park. That's what they need to do. That's what needs to happen at WrestleMania. Maybe even via Randy Orton's pod in the Elimination Chamber, filling up with black goo. Right, final question today comes from, is this the greatest handle ever? Who says, greetings, gents. Fairly sure I know what Adam Wilborn will answer, so I guess this question is primarily for Andy Murray. Between MJF and Ricky Starks, who do you think will be the first to get a run with either the AEW or the TNT title?
I'm going to let you style on MJF in a second, but for me, I think it will be Ricky Starks. I think he, we've got a number one contendership match for the TNT title at the pay-per-view. The Revolution face ladder match or something?
Yeah, I'm so confused what's going on with that, yeah.
Ricky Starks obviously won't be involved in that, but when Darby Allin beats whoever wins that, I think Ricky's the perfect guy to take it off Darby and have a cool run with the TNT title. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. I completely agree. I'd have Ricky Starks be the next TNT champion, but I think MJF out of those two has to be... Well, he should already be the world champion, because let's not forget Jon Moxley cheated in their match, used an illegal move, and effectively, in my eyes, MJF is already champion. But, I'm trying to be impartial here, because I am. I'm a fair and balanced wrestling journalist, but I love MJF and give him all the titles. Right, let's move on to today's and finally. And just sometimes you don't have to think stuff out to make a great tweet. Think before you tweet, yes, if you're going to do something stupid. But if you're Hangman Page and you're just going to tweet best lawnmowers 2021, you know what? Maybe you win Twitter for the day. Andy, favourite lawnmower off the top of your head?
Brum. Brum is my favourite lawnmower.
Very good. Very good.
It's not a lawnmower.
No. The Wilborn household is a Flymo household, so there you go.
What about the thing from the Teletubbies with the nose that snoops around? Yeah, Nunu, and it's got custard and it's not a lawnmower either, is it?
No.
What about Edward Scissorhand? Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
All right, let us know your thoughts on that. And your favourite lawnmowers in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dudley Boys are going to have a lot of fun with the Wednesday Night War a little bit later on today. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions. But remember, think before you tweet at WhatCultureWWE. And whilst you're there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Birthday, Harambe. Miss you, big man. Snuffed out before your prime. I don't actually know if it's Harambe's birthday today. It's just, lawnmowers. So.
Yep, natural.
Just really miss him.
Yeah, fair enough. And a happy belated birthday to Simon Miller for yesterday as well. Legend. Right. You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilmore. Follow us all at What Culture WWE. This has been a random one today. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Harambe.